They called him worthless. But when hope died for the richest man's daughter, he was the only one who answered her cry. Before we begin, drop your city in the comments and subscribe if you believe even the smallest hands can heal. The deepest wounds dot in the heart of a city where glass towers stab the sky while rain dripped through forgotten alleyways. A boy named Ayaan Khan crouched under a half-broken bus stop. He was 12 maybe. No one really knew. He'd stopped counting birthdays when his mother closed her eyes for good behind the charity ward's blue curtain. Ayaan had Lucky, a flea-bitten puppy with a crooked tail. Every day, Ayaan begged enough coins to buy stale bread. Half he fed Lucky, the other half he hid for tomorrow. Rain fell like a punishment tonight, drumming on the tin roof overhead. Ayaan curled tighter, whispering in Urdu, "Someday we'll have a warm bed. Lucky, someday." Far off, a horn blared, sharp, desperate. Then a screech of tires. The gut-deep crunch of metal against stone. Ayaan's eyes flew open. A child's scream cracked through the storm. He clutched Lucky, heart racing. A child, alone. No one in this alley had ever run toward a scream, but Ayaan did, feet bare, dodging puddles and broken glass. He followed the echo until he saw it. A sleek black car smoking under a flickering street lamp. The smell of burning rubber choked the air. A man, tall, shaking, dressed in a suit that cost more than everything Ayaan had ever owned, stumbled from the driver's door on a wind-bitten Wednesday night. Mr. Bennett relented, not because he trusted, but because Lila's eyes had stopped sparkling. And he'd trade every cent he owned to see her smile again. He barked at Mr. Thomas Clark, his trusted head butler for 30 years. "Find the boy. Quietly, bring him. Here. And if he steals a single thing, drag him out by the throat." Mr. Clark, loyal but weary of the master's fury, did as ordered. It didn't take long. A beggar boy with a dog was easy to find if you knew the city's forgotten corners. Ayaan's bare feet made no sound on the Bennett mansion's marble floors. Lucky, freshly washed by a hesitant maid, trotted behind him, tail wagging like he owned the palace. When they reached the grand staircase, Ayaan's eyes widened. Velvet rugs, gold frames, chandeliers that could feed an entire slum. Mr. Bennett stood above him like a mountain, arms crossed, jaw clenched. "You touch my daughter. You answer to me." Ayaan didn't flinch. His voice small but steady. "I won't hurt her, sir. I just promised." Then, before anyone could stop him, he padded to Lila's room. Lila lay propped against pillows softer than anything Ayaan had ever touched, her legs tiny and motionless under a silk blanket. When she saw him, her grin broke open like sunlight through storm clouds. "You came," she squealed, ignoring the shocked nurse, Dr. Helen Morris, at her bedside. Ayaan smiled shyly. "I said I would." He sat cross-legged at her feet, Lucky curled up at her side, sighing as if he'd always belonged there. "Close your eyes, miss." "Lila." She obeyed without question. No doctor knew what Ayaan did next. His mother, years ago, in a dirt-floored hut, had taught him something older than medicine. Pressure points, breath patterns. Words that turned fear into courage. Ayaan pressed his thumbs gently at Lila's knees, murmured in a language no one understood. "Feel your toes. Feel your knees. Tell them to wake up. They're yours." Outside the door, Mr. Bennett whispered to Dr. Maurice. "What's he doing?" She murmured back, spellbound. Something none of us dared. Minutes ticked by. The house staff gathered in the hallway, pretending to dust lamps or polish railings, but really straining to see the impossible. Suddenly, a gasp. Lila's small foot twitched under the blanket. Then again, Ayaan opened his eyes and smiled. "Tell them hello." Tears rolled down Lila's cheeks as she whispered, "Hello, feet." Mr. Bennett sank to his knees at the door. A king brought low by the mercy of a beggar boy. In his arms, a little girl, barely older than Ayaan when his mother last kissed his forehead. Her legs hung limp, her head lolled back. "Help!" The man bellowed at the shadows. Someone. My daughter, she can't feel her legs. Windows creaked open, curtains twitched. But no one stepped out, except Ayaan Khan. Ayaan edged closer, ignoring the man's glare. Sir, I can help. The man spat. Back away, beggar. You'll infect her. But the girl's eyes fluttered open. In them, Ayaan saw what no one had given him in years. Trust. She whispered, Weak, Papa. It hurts. Ayaan laid a trembling hand on her tiny ankle. The warmth of his palm seemed to draw out her fear just for a heartbeat. You'll walk again, he whispered. I promise. Then red and blue lights danced across the wet street, an ambulance wailing toward them. As paramedics pushed him aside, Ayaan slipped into the darkness, clutching Lucky under his thin coat. No one knew his name. Not yet, but the girl did. The man who'd shoved Ayaan aside that rainy night was Mr. Richard Bennett, CEO of Bennett Holdings, a name carved in gold across glass towers. At 52, Mr. Bennett had the city at his feet, judges in his pocket. Headlines that called him a king of progress. But behind locked mansion doors, his crown was crumbling. His daughter Lila Bennett, age 9, had been his miracle baby after his wife died. Lila was soft-voiced, sharp-eyed, with hair the color of her mother's laughter. And now she couldn't walk. Doctors murmured spine injury. Nurses whispered prayers behind surgical masks. Mr. Bennett sat at her bedside in the city's grandest private hospital. 10 specialists, all nodding solemnly. No guarantees, sir. She may never run again. He paid them anyway. He threatened them anyway. And when they left the room, he wept against Lila's tiny hand, begging a god he'd forgotten. How to trust Ayaan Khan. Had no father in high places. He slept under a rusted overpass 2 miles from the hospital's marble doors. His dreams reeked of diesel and cold stone. Yet every night for a week, Ayaan crept to the hospital garden, to peer through the rosebush hedge at Lila's window. A lonely rectangle of soft yellow light in a fortress of wealth. Lucky dozed. Beside him, nose tucked under his skinny arm, Ayaan spoke to the stars in a tongue older than this city. Let her legs remember. Let her run. Take my feet if you must, but let her run. He didn't know that on the other side of the glass, Lila lay awake too, watching the small figure beneath the roses. Inside, Lila whispered to her favorite nurse, Dr. Helen Morris, a woman with tired eyes but warm hands. There's a boy. In the garden, he talks to the stars. Dr. Morris hushed her gently. Honey, that's just a dream. But Lila clung to it. He promised I'd walk. One evening, Lila asked her father for something no doctor could give. I want to see the boy. Mr. Bennett nearly roared. What boy? Another fairy tale, Lila. We have the best doctors money can buy. Lila's eyes shone with quiet fire, but none of them promised. Mr. Bennett stared, feeling as small as the boy he'd chased away. Within a single night, the Bennett mansion, once silent as a tomb, buzzed like a disturbed hive. Maids whispered behind pantry doors, Did you see her toes move? Gardeners traded rumors at the gate. A beggar healed her? Impossible. Mr. Bennett's investors sniffed scandal. He's desperate, trusting witchcraft over medicine. And in the grand study, under the heavy oil painting of his father, Mr. Bennett paced, knuckles white, mind splitting with doubt. Could he really risk his daughter's fragile hope on a barefoot street child? Dr. Helen Morris, loyal and practical. Found him there, Richard, she said softly. Not sir. Not Mr. Bennett, but Richard. The way she had when they were both young interns with big hearts and no cynicism. He's not hurting her. He's giving her back something none of us could believe. Mr. Bennett snapped. You'd have me trust a beggar over Harvard surgeons. Dr. Morris held her ground. I'd have you trust your daughter's eyes. Meanwhile, Ayaan slept. On a folded blanket outside Lila's door, Lucky curled up on his chest like a living heartbeat. At dawn, Mr. Thomas Clark, the butler who'd once chased street rats away with a broom, brought him tea and fresh bread. He knelt, voice low so the housemaids wouldn't hear. Master Ayaan, the staff are saying things. They say you're a liar. Or worse, a fraud. Ayaan sipped the sweet tea, unfazed. They can say what they like, Mr. Clark. Miss Lila will walk. And somewhere deep inside, the butlerhood, polished the Bennett silver for 4 decades, found himself believing word leaked, as it always does. On the city's gossip blogs, billionaire hires street boy to heal daughter. Is the empire crumbling? Paparazzi circled the mansion gates. Under this storm, Mr. Bennett made his choice. He called a press conference. Lila would stand, he declared. Or he'd prove every rumor false and expose the boy as a fraud before the world. Dr. Morris begged him. You'll crush her if she falls, he said hoarsely. And if she flies? 2 days later, the great Bennett ballroom overflowed with reporters, flashes popping like lightning. Lila, pale but smiling, sat in her wheelchair under a chandelier worth more than all of Ayaan's dreams. Ayaan stood behind her, small hands resting gently on her shoulders, at the podium. Mr. Bennett's voice shook the crystal glasses. Today my daughter proves whether a boy with nothing can do what money could not. Gasps, scoffs. Whispers. Ayaan leaned close to Lila's ear. Remember, Miss Lila? Your legs are listening. Tell them it's time. The air in the ballroom could have cracked glass tension tighter than piano wire. Flashbulbs flickered. Ayaan stepped to Lila's side and whispered, as if the cameras didn't exist. Don't look at them. Look at me. And hear your legs. They remember how to dance. Lila's tiny hands clutched the armrests. Her lips moved. Hello, toes. Hello, knees. Please stand up with me. The hush was so complete that the tick of the grandfather clock echoed like thunder. Then so slow some doubted their eyes. Lila's right foot shifted. A tremor ran up her calf. She clenched her jaw, pushed. The left foot braced beside it. Dr. Morris gasped behind her clipboard. Reporters surged forward, trampling velvet ropes. Mr. Bennett, billionaire, kingmaker, master of steel and stone, fell to his knees behind his daughter, and in a voice hoarse from weeping, he whispered, "Come on, my little bird, fly." Lila rose. Not gracefully, her legs quivered like a newborn foal, but they rose. She leaned forward. Ayaan caught her hand, steady as an oak. Now, to me, one trembling step, another. Lucky barked, tail wagging so hard he nearly knocked over a vase worth a year's rent. Then Lila squealed the giggle of a child who forgot pain ever existed, and ran the last 2 steps into her father's arms. The ballroom erupted. Flashbulbs, cheers. Even the skeptical investors wept into their silk handkerchiefs. No surgeon's scalpel, no secret medicine. Just a beggar boy's gift of forgotten wisdom and a child's unbroken will. In the days that followed, journalists camped at the gates. The beggar boy healer. Who is Ayaan Khan, street prophet or angel? Mr. Bennett's lawyers offered hush money. Paparazzi offered bribes. TV hosts begged for interviews. Ayaan refused it all. When asked why, he just smiled shyly. I promised her legs, not a circus. Dr. Morris, writing in her journal, penned it best. I have stitched flesh, pinned bones, rewired nerves. But I never learned what this boy knew, that sometimes healing begins when fear ends. Mr. Bennett tried to pay a YAAN.A trust fund, a university scholarship, even a key to the house. Ayaan took none of it for himself. But one evening, when he thought no one was looking, he asked softly, "Could Lucky and I stay?" Not as charity, as family. Mr. Bennett didn't answer with words. He knelt, hugged Ayaan tight against his chest, and for the first time since his wife died, he thanked the heavens for sending him someone to heal him too. Years passed, people forgot headlines, but not whispers. The story turned legend. Lila grew strong, became a doctor, just like Dr. Maurice, a surgeon who reminded parents daily, never stop believing the impossible. Ayaan stayed beside her, her secret keeper, her brother by heart. He opened a little clinic where no one asked for money first, just a chance to be heard. And every night, he thanked the stars for Lucky's warm belly pressed to his feet, a reminder that love, once found, never leaves you cold again. In a city built on walls and wallets, a barefoot boy gave a millionaire's child back her wings, not with money, not with fame, but with a promise whispered to the stars. Sometimes the smallest act of love rewrites someone's whole story.